The president in the Northwest Province leading the Letsema campaign, but also meeting at the weekend, the newly elected leadership has thrown its weight behind Ramaphosa for another term as party president, saying he's doing a good job. Naledi Modise is a West University Political Analyst and joins Full View to look at what this campaign means for both Ramaphosa and the party's positions. Good evening and welcome to you. The president's diary was all about meeting residents, holding rallies, meeting with the community, and then meeting the branches and alliance partners. Naledi, how important is a campaign like this for both the party president and the ANC?
Good evening and good evening to the viewers. This is a very important meet and greet for the president because I believe he's on the charm offensive. He is here to consolidate support within the Northwest Province. But most importantly, I think he's also here to speak to the residents regarding the commitment of the ANC to ensure service delivery should they be re-elected. Because we all know that in the Northwest, particularly in the Ditsobotla local municipality, there have been significant challenges with regards to governance and service delivery. So I think that he's on the charm offensive. He's here to consolidate his support in the lead up to the elections, to the National Policy Conference of the ANC, but also to consolidate support for the ANC with the upcoming the by-elections.
You mentioned Ditsobotla, so let's stay on that point. Residents of that municipality have experienced real upheaval, Naledi, with parallel governance structures till it was finally dissolved following serious maladministration and service delivery being registering at an all-time low. Yet residents there are still throwing their support from what we hear behind the ANC. How do you account for support of the party in the face of this type of political upheaval and a non-service delivery?
When we reflect on the 2021 local government elections, if you actually look at voter turnout in the Northwest, you see that less than 50% of the registered voters actually came out to vote and support the ANC. So I believe that the people who do come out to vote are declining. We've seen the decline in the numbers, and that is in itself one of the ways in which the electorate protests against ANC misgovernance. So it's not necessarily that they're throwing their weight behind the ANC and the service delivery that they've experienced. I think it's rather the fact that the people who are consistently and significantly disgruntled are just not pitching up to vote, and which is why these numbers continue to decline so badly. So yes, they receive the support, but it is really not at the numbers that it needs to be. Local government has shown that the service delivery failures are responded to by the electorate through non-voting. I think that is the one area in which we see it the most, and we are likely to see an even lower voter turnout during these by-elections.
And really, thank you for making that distinction just in the way those electoral numbers are reflected. And I think it's important, as you point out, how many more people are staying away consistently from the polls. This province, Naledi, has been through a lot, not least uncertainties about leadership that persist to this day. Walk us through the turmoil in the Northwest and its prospects for stable governance and ultimately service delivery.
I think that the Northwest itself and the ANC within the Northwest is really characterized by that factionalism, by that political infighting, which severely affects the residents. So that is why you saw, we've seen basically a number of service delivery protests, but we've also seen businesses abandon their operations within the province as well, a case being Clover, which closed one of its factories in Lichtenburg. And so you also see, as a result of this poor governance, increased unemployment. So it does not only affect service delivery to the residents, but also to the business owners within the province as well. And that then trickles down, and we have a crisis of unemployment in the country. And so all of these things become, so what you see in the Northwest actually is a microcosm of what you see in the rest of the country, in that it is a good example of what poor governance, what cadre deployment, but also what political infighting results in terms of, and I would, if we were talking about the Northwest as a country, I would characterize it really as a failed state, and we can only attribute that to ANC governance.
And that's quite a grim picture you're painting, Naledi. Yet, against that backdrop, you have, the provincial leadership saying, we're with the president. You have him as part of the Letsema campaign, putting on, his famous megawatt Ramaphosa smile, meeting and greeting, going on a strong charm offensive in the province. These two factors together, how much do they account for the possible survival and victory for the president as incumbent for the ANC's top position, the president, but also in rallying support in a troubled province, which you describe now as a failed state province, effectively. How does all of this stack up for the president's own fortunes and the ANC's, particularly in the Northwest?
So I believe that that Northwest, because of its factionalism and its political infighting, it's not really certain whether he has the full support of the province. And this is also just considering the legal challenge that the current incumbent leadership within the province is facing. And so I think that going to the conference, he knows that this was an important visit for him to consolidate the current support that he has. And in province or in regions where he does not have the necessary support yet, to ensure that he leaves the province having, he's quite a charming president, as you've put it yourself. So I think that he's really here to ensure that those numbers remain as they are, leading and towards the conference and within the conference. And so he should do pretty well in terms of the support from the Northwest. I think that there has been relative stability since the provincial elective conference. And so the numbers are likely, should remain the same. And what we've also seen in the past is that the ANC, as it is losing support in the cities, as it is losing support in the key metropolitan areas, its stronghold remains that of the periphery. And so I think that the support is still there, even amongst the residents and the locals. I think what we will continue to see, though, is that the disgruntled electorate, disgruntled citizens will choose other ways to engage with politicians with regards to protest, as opposed to coming out to the elections. So in the lead up to the elections, I think that the Northwest the numbers are likely to remain the same in favor of Ramaphosa. And I'm thinking that in the future, what we're likely to see in terms of the residents and the responses to service delivery is probably more alternative means of political participation.
Interesting views there of Naledi Modise, who is from the West University, joining us to share some political analysis on the ANC's Letsema campaign and on the fortunes of the ANC president.